God bless you, Pastor Will and Dr. Grace Nichols here. We are coming on a little late, but we're going to get whoever is up this late. I was determined to get this in. Just busy today, but I did want to talk with you all. We missed last week, and it's important to me that we have these conversations, and I know that many of you look forward to it, and we're so thankful and grateful for those of you who do, and we certainly appreciate it, and thank God for you. And to others that are going to be joining us and are joining us, thank you. Thank you for clicking in. Dr. Grace, why don't you greet us as I'm doing some of the stuff on Facebook and YouTube?
Blessings. We're excited that joined us on this evening. It's Monday. It's My Marriage University live. We're talking about marriage and relationships. And we just want to thank you for tuning in on this evening. I know it is kind of late, as our Dr. Will said, but we do know that we did have some questions that we did not respond to our last Monday night. We're going to continue this conversation, continue the questions, and do our best to provide answers and to talk with you the things that you're needing to get direction on regarding marriage. So as you're coming in, we're just thankful for you. Love, like, and share, and let us know you're on. Love social media so that your followers will also know you're on. This might be a blessing to someone that is connected to you.
And that sharing on your page to let your followers know actually works. I was talking to someone, baby, today, and they was telling me how they watched the church stream, but I guess it was their grandparents. But the only way they know how to watch it is when they share it, because the
Mm-hmm.
grandparent likes them. And so we'd like to have a nice discussion tonight. So those of you that are joining in, we want to thank you for that. And if you could encourage others to join with us a little bit later, but we're going to have a nice discussion on tonight. First Lady had a great time yesterday talking about marriage and family. Why don't you talk a little bit about that on
Absolutely.
yesterday?
It was our district gathering. Every fifth Sunday, we get together with all of the other churches that we're in covenant with. And it was just wonderful to be with like minded pastors and pastors' wives. We had a wonderful time. The focus of our session on Sunday evening had to deal with marriage, and we approached marriage from different perspectives. We had our bishop and our jurisdictional first lady. Oh, they gave us insight,
Great insight.
great, phenomenal insight on building, whether you're building a career, building ministry, or you're building something. How do you build and keep the right focus on your marriage? What do you do? How does a wife respond to her husband during that transitional time? How does the husband respond to his wife? And the importance of stability. Our jurisdiction first lady talked about that. And I mean, Bishop Gibbs gave such a tremendous insight. And then we had Pastor Washington and Lady Washington. They talked about having children and the importance of working together as a couple when you're rearing your children, the importance of keeping the home as a place that's stability for the family, the importance of finding time to be with the family even when you have busy schedules outside of family life. The importance of putting focus and emphasis on that and making sure that the children are growing and they're being a part of the family. So great discussion. We tremendously enjoyed them.
I love what Bishop had to say. And First Lady, they looked at it from two different perspectives.
Right.
Bishop said it was important that both were bought in. He said that that this is who we are, this is what we do. I thought that that was
Absolutely.
important. And he talked about, when they had to, earlier in their marriage, they had, it wasn't like what everybody noticed now with all the money and all of those in the big church. They started in the trailer and with a few a handful of people. Many of them, some of them didn't even like them. But he said my wife had to be bought in. She had to be bought into the vision. And then Dr. Grace, First Lady Wooden, said something which I thought was just absolutely profound. And she said, you can't be in building mode constantly. I thought that was profound. She said, because it creates instability for the woman. And it made me think about people that we've counseled and even our own personal lives that you can't just be asked to keep building and building and building and building and building. You got to go through phases and go through different stages and you get that. And I remember earlier in our building the ministry, and there was a lot of work that I did, and I know me and you were challenged during that period. But I always said that things would get better, and I always said that we were building something, and I feel like we did exactly what she said. We went through different phases. We went through the getting started building phase and getting off the ground. We went through physically building a building. We got that done. We went through building an organization where we would have employees and folks that could do work for us so we can take off and do things like that. So I've seen us go through those different phases, but you can imagine if you never reach a point of completion in any of the phases. And I like to think that what she was showing is you want to have some successes. You want to have some times where you can sit back and say, okay, we accomplished this, we accomplished that. So I thought that was really good. And Pastor Parker and his wife talked about for better or for worse and sickness and in health. And you mentioned the Washington. So I thought overall, it was a great discussion on last night.
Absolutely, absolutely, and totally enjoyed it. All the churches that came together on last night. Of course, it wasn't just married couples that were there. We did something unique. We had the children had their own breakout sessions.
Oh, that was good. They told me they had a great
Yeah,
time with the
yeah,
teens and the youth.
absolutely. So they were with, their peers, and they were doing things that was beneficial for them. But we had, the opportunity to be in a setting where we didn't have to watch what we said
Hmm.
because they weren't involved. So it was open. We didn't get to do the question and answers. We did get a few questions and answers, but we're going to do that next time. We
Just the
ran out of
time just
time.
got away
We
from
ran out
us.
of
I know a
time.
lot of people was looking forward to that, but thank you all. And so welcome Nathan and Ebony. Thank you Samuel joining, Melissa, Bianca. God bless you all. Listen, we're going to do Q&A tonight. We got a whole bunch of questions that we have not answered. But we want to welcome you all as you're joining. If you all can do me a favor and if you all have any questions that you'd like to post tonight before we go to our reservoir, I got a whole bunch of questions here that we've gotten over the last several weeks, but I'd love to hear from you all on tonight. Welcome, Ariel, Sue Ann, God bless you, darling. Who else we got? Thank you, Robert, Danita. Listen, y'all. Let me do this. First of all, let me get everybody to hit their shares and their likes right now. Everybody that's on, let's see if we can blow this up tonight. You know a couple, you know an individual that could benefit from our discussion tonight. Go ahead and share. This is a little bit late, but then some of these young folks, baby, they still up.
Well, according to Ebony's, she would have been watching the game. She said, "I must really like y'all." She said, "The game is on."
Who's
So,
playing?
uh,
I don't even know who's playing, Ebony. My team lost yesterday. I didn't know what they were saying. Somebody said, Pastor, if you stick with the Saints, you'll be all right.
yes.
And I was like, I'm saying somebody stick with the Saints. The Cowboys played the Saints on yesterday, and they lost.
Oh.
So she said, if you stick with the Saints, I was like, y'all ain't right. Y'all ain't right. My Cowboys lost on yesterday. So I wouldn't. I didn't even watch ESPN all day today because my Cowboys lost. But
The volume needs to be turned up.
what do you mean? Y'all can't
Someone
hear
says,
us?
yeah, the volume needs to be turned up.
Well, I see people. Okay.
So they can hear us, but they probably just can't hear us. as loudly as possible.
Let me try and see if I can reset that. Um, Let me see if I can go to the sound. And listen, y'all got any questions for us tonight before we go to our questions? I want you all to participate. Where's my sound? And the volume is up pretty high. Input volume. Can you all hear us? Dr. Grace, I'm going to let you talk. You don't get the soft voice.
Hello, hello.
Baby, just talk about something. You got to say hello. We're on the discussion. Let me see if your volume level. Go ahead, baby.
Yeah, so again, we're delighted to have you on this evening, and we're looking forward to getting your questions. Even if you posted them last Monday, repost tonight so that we will have your questions live and we can go to your questions and begin our discussion with the people that are on. Now, because you're on, we want to prioritize. We want to make you our focus on tonight. So whatever
So
your
Era
questions
says she
are.
can hear us.
Okay,
So
awesome,
I'm
awesome.
not for sure.
Yes.
Whoever can't hear us, maybe you need to turn your volume up. We because I didn't turn the hours up. We're gonna have a great discussion. I got some great questions, but listen, I do would like what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna post some questions, and first I want you all to give me what you think your answer would be. And First Lady, I got some great ones. I'm gonna read some of them. I'm gonna let you pick the first one you want us to talk about tonight. And there is some static in the background. I apologize for the static, Ariel. Don't know why that is. But First Lady, why don't you turn your volume up on your phone and see if you can hear us? Yeah, I know what that is. Yeah, I apologize for that. That's the fan on my computer. I need a new computer. So if y'all want to make a donation to the cause, that's my computer making that noise. And I could try to plug up a microphone, and but actually, nope, I only have an input slot for the microphone, so I can't even do that. So we'll just try to talk loud. But thank you all for joining us tonight. And First Lady, I'm gonna give you the first four questions, and then I got a whole bunch more. But I want you to tell me which one of these you would like to talk about first. Question number one: what do you do when your spouse's need for intimacy decreases and your need for intimacy goes unmet? Number two: difference between venting and complaining. Number three: getting over past hurts. Number four: how do you deal with an insecure mate? I'm gonna keep going to the next one. Talk about marriage when do you know it's time to let go? And this one: should you stay after infidelity? And this is related to it. How do couples get past infidelity if one does not admit they stray? So those are several questions. I don't know which one of those. So I tell y'all what, I'm going to ask my wife which one of those questions she'd like to talk about. Then I'm going to ask you all to give us your perspective on it, baby. I'm gonna read them one more time. I'm gonna read them in reverse order before you say so. I'm gonna read them so everybody else that is streaming can watch us. So we're gonna talk about several questions tonight, and here are some. If you have one, go ahead and post it. But here's one: how do couples get past infidelity if one does not admit they've strayed? Should you stay after infidelity? Talk about marriage. When do you know it's time to let go? I think they mean time to let go of the marriage. How do you deal with an insecure mate? Getting over past hurts, difference between venting and complaining, and then finally, what do you do when your spouse needs for intimacy decreases and your need for intimacy goes unmet? So, First Lady, you've heard him twice now. Um, what would you like to talk about first?
Well, I mean, I think the question that stands out um, is how do you deal with an insecure mate? And the reason why I think that stands out
Don't
for
answer it, but just go ahead.
right, yeah, is because when my husband and I are doing counseling, we always talk about the pillars that each marriage should have. And as we're going through His Needs, Her Needs. That's one of the books that we like to use when we're dealing with couples and we're helping couples lay a foundation for marriage. And you know, any
You sure you're not
foundation.
answering it?
Um, so you don't want me to answer it?
No, I want them to answer it, and then me and you're going
Oh,
to chime in. Sound like you answering the question.
well, you asked me why.
Okay, but you're not
So
answering the question. How do you deal with an insecure man?
yeah, I mean, a
Okay, I
part of
don't
it
want her to
does.
answer it. Okay, so I'm posting the question to the viewing audience. So we want to hear from you all. So the question is, how do you deal with an insecure mate? So I'd like to hear from you all to get your perspective. Me and Grace are going to give you ours, but I want to know what you all think. Not that you have an insecure mate, but if you are dealing with or you are talking to another couple, how would you answer that? My mate is insecure. It could be an insecure man, First Lady. It could be an insecure woman. How would you, as the person married to that insecure person, deal with that? So we want you all to chime in because I like Dr. Grace when we do kind of almost a participatory discussion
Absolutely.
where people can chime in and give us their viewpoint.
Yes.
So this is a great point here. I would like to hear you all talk about. And at the end of this, at the end of this question, I'm going to talk about boot camp, play a quick commercial, and then come back and go to our next question. So the question is, how do you deal with an insecure mate? In answering this, I'm not calling your mate insecure. I'm asking you how to deal with it. Are we getting any responses, baby?
Yes, and then how would you advise someone to deal with an insecure mate if you're, you know, again, in a situation where your marriage has grown, you know, through that, and you have some experience, you have some knowledge, you have some education on it, or insight, biblical insight. You know, this is an opportunity to share that information so that we can process it with everyone.
So Nathan says, with patience and support. I thought that was great.
Yes.
Ebony says, I would have to find out why they are insecure first. I guess that's interesting. Why are you insecure?
Yes.
Hadn't really thought about it. I guess there could be a number of reasons. They could be insecure, Dr. Grace. And Ebony, you can take any take you want, but I would like to get your response. A person could be insecure in themselves from their looks. Like, sometimes people could be insecure over their weight. It could be insecure over, the whole idea of what's beautiful and what's not beautiful, fat or skinny, or so it could be physical. It could be insecurity based upon their intellect. Maybe they don't feel as smart or whatever. Maybe they didn't go to college, don't have a degree. It could be insecure over their accomplishments. They don't have they didn't achieve a whole lot, or they don't have a whole lot. So there's any number of reasons, but regardless of the reasons, what should we do about that if a person has an insecure mate? You have any other responses there, baby?
So let's
So
see.
we want you all to
Yes.
respond. The question is, how do you deal with an insecure mate?
So Shay says, I would start by seeing where the insecurities are coming from. Once I knew that, I believe it would be my job to reassure them.
I love the part reassurance.
Yes.
Reassurance. Dr. Grace, when we talk about, and one of the questions talked about infidelity, but one of the things that comes to my mind is that when it comes to an insecurity could also be in whether or not you trust your mate. But one of the things we've often said is if your mate doesn't trust you, then it's your responsibility to secure them.
Yes.
When a person, because now they're insecure in you, they're insecure in your fidelity, insecure in you. So I didn't think about that one. But if my wife don't trust me, the question is there something that I'm doing that she still feels somewhat insecure? Now, she may be crazy too. Now, don't misunderstand me. But it does fall upon me to make sure I've done everything I can to make my wife feel stable and secure. What other responses do you have?
So Samuel says the two should have an honest sit down to understand why they're insecure without passing judgment, yet with an understanding point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And Ariel said, understand their insecurity or insecurities and help them get through it or help them get through them.
All right. Look like Christopher talked about past issues,
Yes.
and that could be in the relationship or issues that a person had out in a previous relationship. But it can create insecurities. If a person has come from bad relationships and then you enter into their relationship, they will bring those past hurts into the new relationship.
Absolutely.
And can create problems.
Yes. And Ebony said, reassure them that you chose them, their flaws, and all together you will work through their insecurities.
All right.
Ebony says, I believe you have to get to the root of it. It could be from way back in childhood, so you can be more understanding and realize it's beyond you.
Baby, what were you going to say? I know I interrupted you because I didn't want you to get too far because I wanted to hear from you all as you're joining. And if you all are coming in, the question on the table is, how would you deal with an insecure mate? That was the first question. And baby, what were you going to say about that?
Well, again, like when we're doing counseling, we always talk about the foundations in any marriage. Pillars that you're supposed to have when you're building a home or any kind of structure. There are beams that are weight-bearing beams in the home, meaning that no matter what kind of renovations you do in that home, you can't touch that wall because that's a weight-bearing wall. It has the beam that holds up the structure. And the same with marriage. There are things that you can't do without in a marriage. You have to have that foundation. And without that, then you're living in a home that could collapse any minute and it could be detrimental to everybody that's in that home. One of the things that is very important in a marriage is security on every level to both spouses, not, one in particular or the other. For the male, they need to be secure in ways that they need. And then for the women, they need to be secure in ways that they need. So we talk about understanding each other's needs and finding ways to communicate so that you can understand where those areas of insecurities are, and then allow that person to share and feel comfortable sharing without judgment. Don't be judgmental. I mean, I think some of the more cruel words that can be used to someone if you don't understand their struggle is to say, something wrong with you. That's really unkind because had it been you and you're in their situation, then you'd want someone to be understanding because whatever their need is, it's real to them. And until you get to the root of it and see how you can normalize things and how you can help stabilize that person and make them feel secure in that area, then it is real to them. And, other words that can be used in a marriage that, let someone know that you demeanor, whatever they're going through, can be something that adds to that insecurity instead of help that person get through it.
All right. And Grace, now you said something which I thought was pretty good. You talked about foundations. When something is not stable, that's what, if you walk into a building and the foundation wasn't stable, or you mentioned the load bearings and things are not in place, then you will feel insecure. If this couch broke down and you sat on it and you came back in, you would feel insecure in sitting on this because it's broken down. So a foundation, Grace, needs to be established. And I think that's important. And, one of the things that we do, and you mentioned our counseling and training, is we before we deal with issues, we deal with foundational things. We talk about what's the foundation of a strong marriage, a solid marriage. People are insecure for any number of reasons, but in order to overcome insecurities, you got to have a solid foundation. And when you think about foundations, you got to think number one, our needs being met. I think you mentioned that before. Number two, are you handling your issues and your conflict properly, or are your issues and problems creating more instability, more insecurity? Number three, are you learning how to connect with each other at a soul level? Number four, are you understanding the different levels of how you love and how you love each other, and understanding each other's love language, and then even understanding the power of God's love? And number five, the power of maintaining your intimacy. You got together through intimacy, and that was a great foundation. But a lot of couples, they lose that foundation after they get married. So these are the things that me and Dr. Grace first, but if a couple come in there and he all crazy, she all crazy, she doing this, he doing that, they argue all the time, they disagree over the children, they disagree over the money. You know what? After we hear all of those insecure issues, the first thing we do? We talk about foundation of a strong marriage, baby.
Absolutely.
We take them through 5 weeks of foundational training, because if you can build that solid foundation, I think it'll help alleviate some of the insecurities.
Absolutely. And one of the things that we don't talk about that is so important to a marriage is marital health. We talk about, being healthy as an individual, and the importance of eating right and working out, and having, alleviating stress and all of those type of things, taking breaks and having a balanced life. But we don't talk about that in marriage. And it's really important that you have marital health, where you really do check-ins with each other. How are you doing? And then try to find ways that you can work with your spouse on those areas until they are strong. Because again, in marriage, our assignment to each other is to build each other up, not try to build ourselves. Because if one person is built up and the other person is weak, that foundation is going to be as strong as the weakest link.
And what happened is they're not building a foundation.
Absolutely.
They're building themselves.
Yes.
They're not building a marital foundation, and that's the key. I love what Ebony. I'm going to ask you all to choose the next question that you all would like for us to talk about. Ebony says, I believe you have to get to the root of it. It could be from way back in childhood, so you can be more understanding and realize it's beyond you. I think all of this is great, and I think if you think about insecure, though, First Lady, it's a building is insecure when the foundation is not solid. And I think people are trying to build and build and build a marriage on insecure foundations, and therefore it's just making matters worse and worse. And now they got 10 stories on top of the building, 10 issues, 10 problems, 10 challenges, finances, money, kids, in-laws, but they never develop a solid foundation.
Absolutely.
And so now the insecurities are just getting worse and worse and worse. So thank you all for that. So listen, y'all, I need your participation. Me and Dr. Grace, we're going to talk about our marriage boot camp coming up, and I really want you all to come to this. It's vitally important. I'm going to talk about it in just a minute. But here's a few questions. So we can either talk about infidelity or past hurts, intimacy, or complaining. So I need y'all to just post. I'm going to see which ones we get the most of. Me and Dr. Grace are going to either talk about infidelity, or we already talked about insecurity, hurts, past hurts, complaining, arguing, or fighting, or intimacy. Intimacy, fighting, complaining, hurts, or infidelity. So here's what I need y'all to do for me. Welcome all of you that are joining in with us. We are having open discussion on past questions. And by the way, if you all have questions, feel free to post them. We'll try to get to them. But we have 4 questions on the table, and they deal with these 4 subject matters: infidelity, um, letting go of past hurts, arguing, complaining, or intimacy. Y'all just post which ones you would like for us to talk about. Someone says, Ebony says, past hurts for 500. Ebony, you crazy. Christopher says, past hurts. Nate says, complaining. Trey says, intimacy. So I got 1 for intimacy, 1 for complaining, 2 for past hurts. All right, y'all. I need y'all to chime in. I need y'all to chime in. We got 2 on past hurts. Anybody else? Anybody else? We got 2 past hurts, 1 complaining, and 1 intimacy. So let me give you the 4 that we can talk about right now, and we're gonna go by whichever one y'all. Now I know we got more than 4 people online. Let me see here. So intimacy is one topic. Venting or complaining or arguing, that's the second topic. The third topic is past hurts. And the 4th topic is infidelity. Infidelity. So I got 2 for intimacy, baby. Okay, we got 2 ties, 2 intimacies.
two for complaining.
2 complaining. Oh, y'all getting in there now. Y'all getting in there now. Actually, I think I got 3. I got intimacy for 1. Keep count, baby. 1 for complaining. 2 past hurts. Now I'm up to 2 intimacies. I got 2 complainings, 3 complainings. I don't know who big I is. Dennis, God bless you. Dennis, what do you want to talk about? Oh, he said the big I. That's intimacy. Big I, intimacy. Thank you, Dennis. Intimacy, complaining. Trey says 3. I don't know what his 3 is. 3 for intimacy. Shay said, oh, they keeping counting themselves. So I got 3 intimacies, 3 complainings, and 2 on past hurts. So I tell you what,
we have
baby.
a tiebreaker. I mean, we need to have a tiebreaker on intimacy versus was it complaining? No, past hurts.
I think we
it's
got
past hurts
3 on all
intimacy.
3.
Yeah.
So Ray said complaining. How dare he? Maybe he wasn't talking about you, Ebony.
No,
God bless your heart, darling.
Complaining on the job.
Number 3. Okay, so baby, I'm gonna let you scroll through it. And what is Trey saying? 4 now. He's the Trey is on. Trey is intimacy.
Yeah.
Shay is letting me know. Okay, I got 4 for intimacy. Anybody else out there? I got 4 for intimacy. 3 for complaining. And 2 for past hurts. All right, looks like intimacy. So if we get 5 now, Shay said. What is Shay for? What is Shay for? Shay is on intimacy. Oh, because Trey, Demetra Scott came in. We got 5 intimacies. Okay, complaining just went up. Complaining just went up. They keeping score. I'm gonna give y'all 3 more seconds. Y'all too much.
All right, last chance to vote for the one you really want.
Nathan said, replying to Ebony. What did Ebony say? Did Ebony say anything crazy?
No, not.
She must have said something. All right.
Oh, Ray. I want Ray said.
Okay.
Yeah, Ray was complaining.
Ebony said whatever. Bless her heart. All right, so we got more. So it's intimacy, then it's complaining. Is that right? And then it's
no, hurts.
Past hurts.
Yeah.
No, I thought we had 3 on complaining. And we had 2 on past hurts. I know we got 3 on complaining.
Yeah, we do have 3 on complaining.
All right. So we're going to start with. So y'all listen up. Before we start with intimacy, let me say this to you all. Me and Dr. Grace are going to be doing a marriage boot camp in November. It's 2 months away. And I would love for you all to come. Now, it's a cost associated with it. When we do a boot camp, Dr. Grace, is not like a retreat where you come and you relax and you enjoy, you go out and you hang out, you do this. And normally you may get a couple of hours of training. You know, a couple hours one day, a couple hours the next day. When you do a boot camp, that's all you're doing. As a matter of fact, over the 2 days, we have scheduled 13 hours of training, opening up, discussions, more training, more opening up. We want to really dig in and help couples to solve this. It's actually you're going to get more in 2 days than what we do for an entire counseling session. But when we do counseling, Dr. Grace, it's over 5 weeks, but it's technically only 5 hours of our time.
Yes.
It's 5 hours of 5 sessions that we do. So this is almost triple that. And I want you to get that in perspective. Me and Dr. Grace have done some of these type of boot camps in our past and dealing with challenges and struggles and issues. In these events, Dr. Grace, and just Google them. You'll find them. Focus on the family. You'll see that these events normally cost $2,000 to $3,000. I mean, you go away and all of that, and they're quite expensive, but they are phenomenal. The information that you get, the help that you get, the revelation, you learn things about yourself, about your mate, and this is something that we're going to be offering for a lot less than what you would do if you went on one of these boot camps that are offered. Dr. Grace and I are committed to this. We want to do it. As a matter of fact, if you register now, we have a $50 coupon or $50 thing. You can learn more about it at My Marriage University. You can also let us know that you're interested. We really and it's not a lot of people that can come. So I am posting right now the link to My Marriage University or to the boot camp interest form. But it's only going to be a handful of people that we're going to accept because we need participation. This is not a class. This is not a retreat. This is a very intimate camp. As a matter of fact, let me show you a quick video. Then we're going to come back to those questions that you all just posted. Before I go to the video, baby, you want to add anything to that? You know, we've been on a couple of these. They are expensive. Some of them cost thousands of dollars. Some of them could be like $1,500, $1,800. But what would you say to the couples that are challenged with their marriage or want to build solid foundations and really want to strengthen their home and go to a boot camp like this? What would you say to them? And it's a little investment. Not no thousands of dollars worth of investment, even though when you're talking about something that you're going to be doing for the rest of your life, I think it's worth it. You go to college and you're gonna retire from school and you spend tens of thousands of dollars for college, but your marriage, which you're gonna be in for the rest of your life, that's the most important thing in your life. For you, your children, your family, your church, your community. So you gotta make an investment in that. But babe, what would you say about that? I'm getting ready to pay this commercial.
It is an investment, but it's something that is worth it. For the information that you learn about yourself, about your spouse, it's a small setting, so you have more intimate time to really dive into some things that you would not be able to in a larger group setting. So it is concentrated, it's intensive. But I guarantee you that you're going to walk away with more knowledge, more insight, a deeper sense of, commitment.
What it takes.
Yes, in order for you to go deeper in marriage. I mean, it's easy to kind of stay on the surface and be routine and just go through the motions of life. But how do you do the deeper work to really get to know your spouse and to understand where you are, what season you are, where you are in your marriage?
It's a whole bunch to it. There's seasons. There's different levels of marriage. There's family. There's in-laws. There's connection. There's love. There's sex and intimacy, which I think the intimacy won out. So we're going to come back and talk about intimacy, and if we have time, we will deal with what was the number 2, complaining, and number 3 was past hurts. And then I didn't see anybody that wanted to talk about infidelity. Bless y'all heart. But I tell you all what, Give me, we're going to play this video commercial about our upcoming boot camp. This is an opportunity for you all to go ahead and click the link that I just posted to tell me that you're interested in coming. We want you to come. And if yeah, and if you really need to come to this and you just don't have the financial resources, I want you to send me an email and we'll see if we can work out some type of scholarship or payment plan because we need your marriage to succeed, and we don't want finances to be the reason why it doesn't. But let me play this little video commercial, and then Dr. Grace and I will be back to talk about intimacy. God bless you. Doctors Will and Grace Nichols here, and we're getting ready for our next marriage boot camp. Dr. Grace, I'm really excited about this.
Yes, we're excited about our boot camp. Yes, it's going to be hard. It's going to be challenging. It is going to be an obstacle course. You will want to be a part of this because you're going to work out every area of your marriage.
And Dr. Grace, and you mentioned that it's hard, but marriage is hard, but it's rewarding. If you've ever been in the Army, that's why we got our fatigues on. If you've ever been in the Army, you know that you go through boot camp so you should get ready for the battle. And every marriage is a battle that's rewarding because you're going to win. And Dr. Grace, somebody said to me, Pastor, can every marriage work? And we believe that it can if you're willing to work the marriage.
Absolutely. So, at our boot camp, you're going to learn strategies that you can use together as a couple against the enemy. There is an enemy that does not want your marriage to succeed. But God has given us a plan. We're going to execute, we're going to implement, we're going to strategize, and we're going to come up with some things as we work this out together. Hardcore, get ready to work out with your spouse and win.
The reason why every marriage works is because God said it. He said, I didn't really have a plan for divorce. That means that he had a plan to work your marriage. And the Bible says, work out your own soul salvation. Our people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Our boot camps are limited in size because we want to open up, we want to share, and it's not a retreat. We're not going to have fun. We're going to work our marriage. This thing is going to work, and we need you to come and make your marriage work. God bless you. I need you to go right now to mymarriageuniversity.com and register for our next marriage boot camp. Let's get this marriage thing going. All right, so please communicate with us. We want you. You're obviously taking the time to talk with me and Dr. Grace to come on. And if you know a couple that's struggling, tell them to make the investment and come to this boot camp. You got a couple of months to get prepared for it. It's a little, it's not as much as a normal boot camp would cost, thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars, but Dr. Grace and I want to do this. It's over 13 hours of training, and it will absolutely bless you. First, I didn't want to talk about intimacy. Did you get any more of it in intimacy that popped up?
No.
All right. So I'm going to give you all a definition of intimacy, but let me just say this. Sometimes when people talk about intimacy, baby, they're talking about sex.
Yes.
And one of our definitions is that sex is not intimacy. Sex is an expression of intimacy. Sex, and the reason why most couples have sex, especially those who are not married yet, is because they have become intimate and now they want to express that intimacy in some way. So when I become intimate with my wife, I start holding her hand. So we start walking, holding hands. It is because we have become intimate. I don't just grab women and start holding their hands. Even if I wasn't married, I wouldn't just find a woman and say, oh, you're attractive, let me hold your hand. And she wouldn't see a man and say, oh, you're attractive, let me hold your hand. So when we're holding hands, it's because we have already become intimate. When we kiss for the first time, that's it. That's it. That's because we've become intimate. We're not kissing to be intimate. We've become intimate, and so we express that through kissing and holding hands. And when we have sex, I need y'all to hear me on this. Sex is not intimacy. We are already intimate, and so we express it with sex. That's what happens with couples. They connect, become intimate, and then they start expressing that intimacy through holding hands, through kissing, through sexual acts. Now, First Lady's going to give you the definition of intimacy. Now, when couples get married, or they start shacking, they're living together, they can actually start to stop being intimate, but they still want to have sex. And many of them do. But they're no longer intimate. So, First Lady, give us the pure definition that's in our book on marriage, sex, in the bedroom of intimacy.
Well, I think the more common definition is intimacy. And so it's the open disclosure of the heart, the intents of the heart. I mean, it's talking with someone about what's really, really, really going on the inside of you. And this is not something that you share with everybody. It's not information that you just disclose. It is information that is set apart for that person that you have now entered into the next level of a relationship. You are openly disclosing. You're becoming one with this person. So as you're becoming one with this person, you're sharing everything that is secretive, that you've held so close to you with this other person, with the intent that this is a person I'm going to be with for the rest of my life. So there's nothing that I feel that I can't express to you.
And so remember that acronym, into me see. When you find someone that you are attracted to, you're not intimate with them yet. You may think you are in love with them, but you're really not in love with them yet. You're not until you become intimate, and you become intimate when you begin to let them see into you through what, Dr. Grace, the voluntary sharing of intimate knowledge about yourself. We don't walk around showing everybody ourselves, our insides. We don't walk around telling everybody our deep heart and our deep secrets and all of that until we find a person that could be a potential mate. And then we allow them to see into us through the voluntary disclosure of knowledge with the understanding or with the expectation that they're going to do the same. Mm-hmm. And so when we do that, we begin to develop emotions and feelings and for each other. We fall in love with each other. And then all of a sudden we want to express that intimacy through holding hands, through kissing, and through sex. I need you to get that. But the intimacy started when you begin to disclose intimate knowledge of yourself with that special person. And they did the same to you. This is the reason why at the beginning of relationships, Dr. Grace, there's long conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
In our day, it was talking on the phone.
Yes.
This modern generation, they don't talk much. So they do it through texting and Instagramming and liking each other and in inboxing and instant messaging. But it's the same concept. You are sharing something with a person that's intimate to you with the expectation that they're going to share back to you what's intimate to them.
Yes, absolutely. And so, it's one of those you're sharing, but you're hoping that the person that you're sharing it with is going to be as open in sharing with you. And that's how you go deeper. I mean,
Ebony told us to get a room, baby. God bless you, Ebony. Thank you, darling. We in a room. We in our own room. We in our home room. God bless you. The bedroom's right upstairs. So I thank you, darling.
Yes.
But in reality, so now Now that you have that as a definition, for those of you say want to talk about intimacy, a lot of people think of intimacy as having sex. And so they say, well, I want to have more sex, but I'm not getting as much. Or I want to have less sex, or sex, 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 sex. Now, what happens though if you stop being intimate and you just want to have sex? Sex is not intimacy. Having sex won't make you intimate. Having sex will make you have sex. Having sex will just get somebody off. Having sex will just simply give you a temporary, exuberant feeling, so on and so forth. That's sex. But intimacy is sharing, and when you've shared enough, you express it through sex. So, what we want couples to understand is, are you maintaining your intimacy level, not your sex level, your intimacy level, so that your mate wants to express it with sex? Let me say it again. Are you maintaining your intimacy level so that your mate wants to express it with sex? Because that's certainly what happened at the beginning of your relationship, baby, right?
Absolutely. No, I mean, if you think about it, when you first started, where after you say I do, because again, that's where we're expecting that your relationship is going to, no holds bar. Everything is that God says you can have in a marriage, you can have. So once you've said I do, and you are openly expressing, you're creating an environment for your spouse that says, I want to get closer to you. I want to be one with you.
But most couples stop doing that, baby.
Yeah, and it takes work.
They stop expressing themselves. They stop being intimate. And what's the number one reason why they stop being intimate, baby?
Because life gets in the way.
What's the number two reason?
Because, well, I mean,
they argue and fight all the time.
Conflict, yes.
So, number three reason, money. I mean, what happens is we stop being intimate. First lady said life. We start having kids, you gotta go to work, you gotta pay the bills, all drama. Number two, we don't handle our conflict. So we're fighting and we're arguing. And so if me and Dr. Grace, every time we get together, we fight and argue, guess what we're not doing? We're not being intimate. I'm not telling her about my day. I'm fighting with her about her yesterday. She's not telling me about her day. She's arguing with me about what I didn't do for her today. We're not being intimate. And therefore, when there's a lack of intimacy, there's a lack of desire to want to express the intimacy through sex.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, again, and it goes back to what I mentioned earlier, is, always make sure that your marriage is healthy. The foundational things are taken care of. Once the foundation is taken care of, then whatever you put in that home is going to create the decorum that reflects the both of you. And so, make sure that you keep a check on it, just like you check your engine, check your intimacy level. Just like you check, various things. You want to make sure that there's windshield wiper fluid in there, so that when you do have to use your wipers, you're able to do that. You've got to do those marital checks, especially on your foundational type of.
Here's what I add to what my wife is saying, and baby, it is being intentional about it.
Absolutely.
I believe, Grace, that in a lot of ways, those intimacy things at the beginning, they almost happen by accident.
Yeah.
Or by dating, or by dating rituals, or I want to get to know you, you want to get to know me, so we start being intimate because I'm attracted to you, you're attracted to me. Mm-hmm. But now that we've gotten each other, now that we're married to each other, now that life is getting away, the conflict is away, we're no longer intentional about the things that bring about intimacy. And so we tell couples that fight, schedule your fights. I said, if you got a lot of disagreements and arguments with your mate, you got to stop it. You got to say, we're going to deal with this at a specific time, and then you have developed even a whole regimen through the Ten Commandments of conflict resolution on how to deal with that. Because if you don't get a handle on your conflict, it'll get in the way of your intimacy.
Absolutely.
Because everything is about conflict, therefore there's no more intimacy. If there's no more intimacy, there's really no desire to have sex. Okay? And so now you have to be more intentional. I think me and you was having a discussion, and I think you said something to me which I thought was interesting. You said it's come down to we got to do this, this, and this. It's almost like a contract. And I guess in my mind I said yes, because we are actually being more intentional rather than what do they call that, baby? Not sporadic. What's the word term I'm looking for? Spontaneous. I think at the beginning of the relationship, it's more spontaneous. But when life gets in the way, conflict gets in the way, challenge gets in the way, I think you got to be intentional about it. You got to be intentional about your fights, intentional about your intimacy. You got to be intentional about meeting needs. We may have been meeting needs incidentally or accidentally to get in a relationship.
Right.
But now we have to be more intentional, more intentional. So there's a whole lot more we could share on that, and perhaps next week we will. But I at least thank you for that, Dennis. He says good meat. Listen, y'all got to do this boot camp now. I know it's got a cost to it, but it ain't nothing like the boot camps me and my wife went to that cost thousands of dollars. You got to come. And what was number two, baby? Was it conflict?
Uh, let's see. So it was conflict, but then what? Complaining was it? The
Yeah,
other
that's
one.
conflict.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna close with this one, and then I need y'all to go and register for our boot camp. Um, and that's going to be a heavy topic that we're going to deal with at the boot camp, Dr. Grace. Also, is because we realize that a lot of couples just have a lot of conflict.
Yes, and more so not just the idea of conflict and situations that produce conflict. We're going to be walking couples through. It's an intensive.
We're going to walk them through a process, and this is what we do when we do mentoring. We show couples how to do it. So it's not just lecturing or teaching, but it's actually practical hands-on. It's kind of like if you wanted to be a mechanic. It's one thing to sit in class and learn about the engine. It's another thing to go and open up a car.
Absolutely.
And we're going to be doing a little of that at our boot camp. But I will say this about conflict. The number one thing you got to do is not allow your home to become a battleground of conflict. Always arguing, always fight. I'm not saying that you don't have issues. I'm not saying that things can't come up. And even when we give you a practical way to do it, you may not do that all the time. But when you find it becoming pervasive, just arguing all the time, fighting all the time, you have a conflict problem. And the problem is not the conflict. The problem is your inability to resolve it. You're reaching impasses. And you're going into your corner, Dr. Grace. I'm going into my corner. You do your thing, I do my thing. And we're not coming together. We're not resolving it. And when you get to that point where you can no longer resolve it spontaneously through discussion, you have to then be intentional. You have to become programmatic about it. You have to stop. You have to become a peacemaker. You have to become a mediator. You have to be intentional. You've got to get to a point, Dr. Grace, because now our conflict is becoming heated. We're fighting all the time. We're not intimate. We don't want to have sex. All of these problems are coming because we don't have handled conflict. In our second series, which deals with the physical connection, that book, I think we called it The Relationship Battle Plan. Is that right, baby?
Yes.
In there, we talk about the 10 Commandments of Conflict Resolution. We've subsequently added more to that, which is practical steps on how to implement it per issue. And it's important that couples learn you might have 99 problems, but you can only deal with one at a time.
Absolutely.
One at a time. The most important thing is don't deal with conflict all the time. Don't walk away from conflict. Don't avoid conflict. Deal with it. But there's a practical way to deal with it that most couples don't do, and it can consume them. It can become a poison to their marriage. It can frustrate them to one decides they want to quit and give up and leave. Yeah, that same person that you've been having sex with and was intimate with, now because of all your complaining, you ready to pack up your bags and leave. That's what conflict can do when it's not handled properly. Avoiding it doesn't fix it. Walking away doesn't fix it. It's still there, simmering, burning, poisoning. You're not being intimate. You're not having sex. You're trying to look the other way. And I was talking to one person, First Lady, and they said, well, first they tried to just shut down and just let the other person just talk, talk, talk. And they found out after years that wasn't working. So then they decide they're going to stand up and start fighting back. I'm going to give him a piece of my mind. Give her a piece of my mind, all of that. And guess what they found out, baby? That didn't work either. That didn't work either. So sometimes it's not yes or no. Sometimes it's not black or white. Sometimes it's not up or down. Sometimes it's not left or right or going or stopping. Sometimes it's another answer that you haven't even considered yet. And both of y'all are on polar opposites fighting over it, and both of y'all are wrong. So there has to be a practical way to deal with this, and this is what conflict resolution is all about. This is what me and Dr. Grace, we're going to really dig into this at our boot camp, and it's vitally important that you all do this. First, you want to share anything before we close out today?
We're just, again, thankful for your questions on this evening.
Next week, we'll come back if we have time. I don't know what's on the schedule. Next week, we're going to be getting ready for our women's conference. I got to talk to you about the women's conference just a minute, but go ahead, baby.
Yeah, so, we appreciate your participation and for letting us know, again, what things that you want us to discuss. We're just, thankful for the opportunity to kind of veer away from the lecture form and to really get to the heart of, some of the things that in marriage we need to talk about, we need to discuss, in addition to, getting information. So we want to thank you for your participation on this evening, for joining, for love, liking, and sharing, and making this a commitment for you as well, as, we've been committed to bringing information to you.
Before we close out with prayer, y'all do me one last thing. Everybody, if you haven't done so already, hit those likes a whole bunch of times, and hit those share buttons. Share it on your page or share it to somebody that you know. If you all will do that to me, share this to a friend that you think can benefit. If you heard some good things, I want to see y'all hitting those likes and shares, likes and shares, likes and shares. Okay, y'all, I ain't seen nobody hitting them yet. Hit the loves too. Just hit it a whole bunch of times. If you all have enjoyed our discussion, it lets the Facebook world know what they missed. Share this page to somebody. Me and Dr. Grace is gonna say a prayer, and then before we do the prayer, First Lady, talk about the women's conference next week. We're gonna play the commercial, and then we're gonna close with prayer.
Yes. So again, we are so excited. We've been talking about our Salt and Light Flourish Women's Conference. Now it's here. It is here, and so we want to encourage you to share this with some other women that you know, your friends, your coworkers, our family. It is going to be phenomenal. You can see by the commercial, we've got a lineup of not ordinary speakers, but we've got anointed, above ordinary speakers. Each speaker that we have that will be ministering, they are able to minister to the world. They travel. They have schedules that take them into different cities every week, several times a week. So they're ministering to the masses. They're called to do kingdom work. And they have a specific word. I'm telling you, we're talking about prophetic. These women are prophetic. They will, minister directly to you. You're going to get so much from this conference, more than you've even paid for. your registration fee is not even going to touch or scratch the surface on what God is about to do in your life. So we want to encourage you, don't miss this opportunity. It's a move of God. And already we've superseded our goals, our expectation as far as our registrations are concerned. But the reason why I still make a plea is because I believe that even though we've superseded that, there are still women that God is tugging on your heart and speaking to you and saying, you need to go. You need to be a part of this. There's something I want to do in your life that is going to change the trajectory of your life, and it's going to transform you, and it's going to put you in a position where you're now flourishing because you're at a standstill, you're stuck, you've gotten to a complacent place in God, and He wants to stir up some things on the inside of you and move you forward so that you are in the middle of what He's doing and you're excited and you're passionate about life. So I'm pleading to you, don't wait. Register now.
First, I didn't even tell y'all what y'all gonna get. Y'all gonna get a T-shirt. They're gonna have a Saturday session, symposium with guest speakers, and I think they're gonna have a little breakfast or lunch or something.
Their prizes and gifts,
all kinds of things going on. And then each night, First Lady gonna be the keynote speaker Wednesday night. That's gonna be your T-shirt night.
Yes.
Thursday, we got Jacqueline Carr coming in. Friday, we got Barbara Calloway coming in. Saturday, you have two pastors' wives. Who is
Powerful. Millette,
Patty Millette,
and Elder Rebecca Carmichael.
And then Barbara Calloway is going to be there as well.
Yes.
And then Sunday.
Yes.
Oh, we got two of our local ministers going to do the 8 o'clock.
Yes.
That is
Tia Willis. And
Teacher Cook. Yes. And then at 10:30. We have
the conference
Latrice Ryan.
Yes.
Latrice Ryan. That's the conclusion of it. So,
yes.
Listen, we're going to close with prayer before y'all get off. So let me play this quick commercial. Y'all go ahead and register. I'm going to put the link out there for you to register. And we thank you all. We're going to close with prayer. So don't leave. Stay on until we close out with prayer.
Ready for the 2019 Salt and Light Women's Conference, October 9th through the 13th, hosted by Dr. Grace Nichols. Conference speakers include Dr. Grace Nichols.
You might see me smiling and you know I'm going through something. It's because I've wrapped myself with the Word of God. And so that's the reason why I can laugh, because I know how this thing is going to end.
Prophetess Barbara Calloway.
Whatever you need and whenever you need it, the I am. The I am shows up in that moment.
Evangelist Latrice Ryan.
Every label, every limitation that man tried to put on you, it will not work, because God says you're too oily. There's too much oil on your life that every limit will fall off.
And national recording artist and evangelist Jacqueline Carr.
You thought you failed, but I hear God saying that He changes somebody's status from failure to success, because God says, I don't create failures, but I create champions.
There will be a special ladies luncheon on Saturday, October 12th, with special guest panelists Pastor Patty Millette, First Lady Rebecca Carmichael, Prophetess Barbara Calloway, and more. For registration and more information, visit victoriouspraise.org.
So we will be concluding our Salt and Light Women's Conference on Sunday with the Salt and Light Flourish Woman of the Year. We've gotten so many women to send in their story, their testimonial. One of those lucky women will be selected. She'll receive $500 cash. She'll receive her crown on that day, flowers, her Flourish gift basket, and so much more. So again, this is all about you, and we look forward to seeing you and those that you invite to come to the Salt and Light Women's Conference.
God bless you, Dr. Grace. We thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you for the topics. I think we did 3 topics tonight. We'll come back on, and we're going to keep this format going for a little while. We'd like to hear from you all, have discussions that you might find of interest, and prayerfully they are and will be a blessing to you. So let's close with prayer. Father, in the name of Jesus, Lord, we thank you and we praise you, Lord. for those that you sent online and those that may be watching it a little bit later. And those that are, and especially for those that are watching live. But you sent them here for a reason. Now, Lord, we ask that the word that has been shared get rooted in their hearts. As David said, thy word have I hid in my heart that I might not sin against thee. God, you said, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of the sinner, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful, but his delight is in your law, and in your law doth he meditate day and night. We have discussed your law, your word concerning marriage and relationships today. We ask that, Lord, those that have heard it will get it rooted and they will grow from it. In Jesus' name we pray. Thank God. Amen. God bless you. We love you. We thank God for you. Y'all share this and let somebody know about what Dr. Grace and I are doing. See y'all at boot camp.